Hello, you guys. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking about my love language, decluttering, and how it can fundamentally change the way that you parent. I know we probably poo-poo things that concern containers and rainbow colors and organization, but I want to talk to you today about how decluttering can really change your life. I'm going to break those stereotypes that it takes forever, that you're going to be consumed by your stuff forever. No, we're going to do this in easy, manageable steps. I'm going to share a story that I feel like really illustrates what decluttering means for me and how simple it can be. And I hope that will really help you break away that mental jail that we have when it comes to doing a task that you might be avoiding. And if that is you, make sure you keep watching. But before we jump in, if we haven't met before, my name is Julie. I'm a mom of 3. I am an occupational therapist, and I love to coach parents to help them in their parenting journeys, make life a little bit more manageable. I feel like we are parenting in chaotic times, in unprecedented times, and we don't have a lot of support. We've broken away from that family structure where everybody kind of hangs out together and lends a hand. Pros and cons to that, in my opinion. But we also don't teach mothers, fathers to be parents. And so a lot of my clients come to me with pretty everyday issues that we unpack bit by bit. And one of the things that comes up a lot is how to organize my home, how to stay on top of all the stuff, how to make it work for me so that I'm not really focused on that anymore. I can focus on what is really important to me. For us, that's connection, that's experiences with our kids, that's teaching them the value of money and the value of togetherness, just things that a lot of stuff and overcrowding in your home can really take away from your family value system. So I hope this video will be very helpful. I know that I've been on a long decluttering journey, which was definitely spurred by having my first child. Around that time, the Marie Kondo book, the Tidy Up book came out, and honestly, it was kind of life-changing because it gave me permission to see my things in a different way. And so over the years, I have evolved my own method when it comes to decluttering and how I advise people. And I want to share some of these concepts and principles with you if you are wanting to downsize your life a little bit or declutter your things, or just not have them own you as much as they do, maybe not have them take up as much headspace, be able to walk into your home and not feel like you need to develop clutter blindness so that you can't see everything and just kind of sweep it under the rug, as they say. No, we're going to talk about actionable ways and a different mindset when it comes to decluttering. So I want to share this story with you, and I think it really illustrates how I view clutter and things in our house. So as I said, I have 3 kids, and no matter how hard I try, they are always at some point bringing in little trinkets and things into our home. It was recently Halloween, so at school, they came home with all of this Halloween junk, essentially. I guess the expectation is that we give them little goodie bags with like a spider ring and a little tic-tac-toe game and I don't know, little squishy things. And I really love the thought and the generosity. I've found that since moving to the States, people are so generous. The issue is that the things that are marketed to parents and to us to give to our children are not always the best quality. And it's hard in a busy, fast-paced world that we live in for parents who are now responsible for throwing some kind of celebration, Halloween party, to come up with something more sustainable. Like they just don't have the headspace to do that. And so it's much easier to go onto Amazon, click whatever. And I appreciate that they do this for kids, but the problem is that we have a lot of this kind of stuff coming into our home. Then we go to birthday parties. Obviously, the cultural expectation is that we give our children goodie bags to bring back, and it's a lot of stuff that we don't need. And over time and over many kids, this can really accumulate. And I just found myself thinking like, wow, I have to continuously be decluttering this kind of stuff because otherwise it will swallow me whole. And then I had this revelation. So, you know, when you go on Amazon and you click subscribe and save and you're trying to get that 5% discount or 10% discount and you subscribe to something that you frequently use. In my case, dishwasher pods. And somehow we ordered too many. Our dishwasher pods and our laundry detergent look very similar. Even the packaging looks very similar. And I think we ordered what we thought were laundry pods, but were actually dishwasher pods. And we had a subscribe and save order too frequently for how often we were using the dishwasher. So we have ended up with 3 bags of these dishwasher pods. I don't know how long it's going to take us to use them. A long time. And the fact that there's such a surplus makes me it just irritates me every time I open the drawer. It does motivate me to use the dishwasher, which apparently saves water. I don't know. It definitely saves time, I guess. But I typically tend to hand wash things. And I think that's also why we're just not using as many dishwasher pods at the frequency that we do. Laundry, on the other hand, I can always do with more laundry pods. But that's a story for another day. So I was looking in the drawer and I was just observing how many dishwasher pods we have. And the thought occurred to me that this is a perfect analogy for decluttering and for stuff in our home, because I look there and I see that we have 3 times as many dishwasher pods as we need, which is common in the American household to have way more things than we could ever use. I also realized that in order to curb the population of dishwasher pods, I need to go onto Amazon and I need to either cancel my subscription or really, pitch it out 6 months in advance to give us an opportunity to use up these dishwasher pods. So the analogy there is that we need to be using the things we already have. We need to stop bringing in so much clutter into our homes. We need to stop it at the source. In this case, it was subscribe and save. And we need to be using what we already own bit by bit, incrementally. And I think the dishwasher pod is a good analogy for that, because it's literally one little pod that you use every time you run the dishwasher. And in the beginning, it doesn't seem like it's making much of a difference, right? It's like a tiny pod. You've got 3 packets of these dishwasher pods. It feels like it's going to be a massive mountain to climb. It feels like it's going to take forever to use all these dishwasher pods up and to get to a reasonable amount of inventory. But actually, over time, things do change. If I go and I take a photograph of that drawer now, and then I take another photograph of that in a month's time, it's going to look a little bit different. If I push it out even to 3 months, it's going to look very different. And heck, maybe in 6 months' time, I will need to make another plan with regards to dishwasher pods. And the same is true for your home. If you work on this little by little every day, you are eventually going to see changes. And when it feels overwhelming, it's like we have 3 bags of dishwasher pods. We're never going to get through this. How do we even attempt this? We start one step at a time, one pod at a time. Maybe for you, that's one drawer at a time that you clear out. That could be one cabinet in your bathroom. Maybe that is your linen closet. Maybe it gets bigger and bigger as you get more momentum, because you will feel freedom when you go through your things, and you will be able to muster up more motivation and enthusiasm for bigger projects. But I would recommend starting off small. I tell everybody, let's just start off small. I even had a call recently with a client where we decluttered her kids' clothes on the call, and it took her an absolutely minuscule amount of time, much less than she could ever have imagined. And so I want you to kind of think of things in terms of dishwasher pods, in terms of incremental gains, because the other thing that's important about decluttering is, yes, there's always constant ebbs and flows. Like I described, some of the little junky things that come into our home. Okay, fine. That's always going to come in. But once we declutter a lot of these things, they don't necessarily have to come back. The buck stops with you, right? So this same client was talking to me about selling some big appliances that she doesn't use. Once those are sold and out of her house, they're gone. Like, it's a sunk cost in that she doesn't have to do it again. She doesn't have to declutter them again. So there are many things in your house and in your home that are surplus that once you get rid of them, once you find the right place for them, whether that's selling them, whether that's donating them to Goodwill, whether they're just plain trash, whether you have to recycle them, you don't have to do it again. It's done. And over time, if you took photographs, like progress photos, you would see the dramatic differences. But the thing is, you have to stop it at the source. You have to cancel, subscribe, and save. Otherwise, it's just going to keep on coming in. And yes, it's normal. We have the ebb and flow of life, but it's become unmanageable for so many of us. And so how can we make this into something that you can sleep easy with at night, that you don't feel so panicked by your home every time you walk into it. To finish this video, I just want to show you something else that happened to me recently. I decided that I would challenge myself to see how quickly I could clean up my daughter's room. So I like to think that for a lot of my kids' lives, especially when we lived in a small apartment, and that definitely helped teach me how little things we really need. But especially when we lived in a small apartment in New York City, I kept my kids' things pretty minimal. Luckily, their clothes were quite small, and that definitely helps. But I always like to have a rule of, if someone had to tell me that they were coming over for tea in 10 minutes, how much of the house could I pick up? How much could I clean? And so I decided to take the opportunity when I noticed that my daughter's room looked like a bomb had hit it. There was stuff everywhere. How long would it actually take me to pick up all the stuff and put the room back to normal? Because I feel like that's a good litmus test. And in theory, I know this. Like, if you can do it in under 5 minutes, you probably have a good handle on your things and on your stuff. If it's taking you longer than that, then it's a cue that you need to let some things go. You need to reshuffle things. You need to organize again. You need to declutter, essentially, because it doesn't matter how big your home is or how small your home is. If you have too much stuff, it's going to take way too long to keep it in order and to be able to live your life. And at this point, when I was wanting to clean up my daughter's room, it was before bedtime. We couldn't walk across the carpet because there's stuff everywhere. Also, if she gets up in the middle of the night or one of us go in there and it's dark, I can't be tripping over things like baby strollers and, I don't know, random blocks and Barbie dolls or whatever she has going on there. It's actually a hazard. I could actually trip and one of us could hurt ourselves. So I put a timer just to see how long it would take me to clean up her room. Like, do a just quick sweep, put everything back. And you know what? It took me 3 minutes. I was actually shocked. I will put up the proof of this on the screen. I'll put up pictures. I took some pictures and screenshots of the timer. I just wanted to see, because it really shows you how your mind explodes some of these things and deters you, because out of fear, it's trying to keep you safe. It deters you from doing something that will literally take you 5 minutes, even less. And it was just surprising and confirming and felt validating that all the work I'd done to get my kids' rooms working for me and not the other way around, where I'm working for the room. It was validating that this was happening and that I could quickly clean up her room to a respectable state in under 5 minutes. It was wild. But that takes steps, that takes time. And often the first step is just a mindset shift, just knowing that it's even possible. So if that is something that's interesting to you, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and give this video a like, a thumbs up, a like, and let me know in the comments where you are with decluttering and organizing and how that's going for you. I'd be curious to know. Also, I am taking on a few coaching clients. I don't take on a lot of people at once, but I would love to have you sign up to be a coaching client. So if that is something that's interesting to you, make sure you check out the description down below. Maybe send me an email. And with all of that said, I will see you in my next video. Let's talk about more decluttering. I love it so much. As I said, it's my love language. But if you have other video ideas for me, make sure you leave those down below in the comments as well. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.